some people in Congress who want to reach Gen Z can't and then shouldn't. Not everyone has to. It is not the group effort. That is totally okay. What I have advised as much as I possibly can is if you don't know what you're talking about, you don't have to say it. And that is totally cool because not everyone has to.
Hey, everybody. I'm Cameron Caskey.
I'm Tim Miller.
And this is FYPod, the Bulwark show where we're trying to figure out what the hell is going on with Gen Z. But I want to figure out why the fuck Tim came to New York and just didn't tell me, even though I am his podcast co-host, and that's kind of like cheating.
You don't even know what I was doing about how much I was cheating on you, Cam. And you just noticed now you didn't see my Deadline White House content yesterday. You weren't watching my in studio performance. I
have a job.
You didn't see that on social media?
No, I was traveling for work.
You're posting a lot. You're texting me all the time. You're posting all the time. Anytime I look at your Instagram, it has like 20 of those little dashes across. Like I can't even follow all of your stories. You're tagging me. So it seems like you've got a lot of free time.
It seems like you're shifting blame and trying to distract from the fact that you literally whatever. Okay. So Tim decided not to hang out with me. He decided to go to some fucking white room that looks like an asylum and also wear an outfit that kind of blends into the background, looks like shit. This week we are joined by Jack C.
Jack C.
Jack C.
Do you want to give it a run? Do you want to give an attempt at it? Even a little one?
Cocchiarella.
Yeah, we're going to keep it. Cocchiarella. For my Italians out there.
Jack is, I think you're from Florida, aren't you?
I am.
Wow. Florida man goes to Colombia.
You're from LA. Why are you a Lakers fan if you're from Florida?
Because I'm a bronze sexual. Because I live and die by my goat. And I'm constantly pouring honey on him, which we can get into later.
Okay, so for normal people, that means that he loves LeBron James. But
as we should. Our greatest American.
So he's from Florida, goes to Colombia, starts making liberal content. Let me tell you, Jack, you're on the right track because that sounds a lot like this guy.
Big shoes.
Anyway, we're here to talk today with Jack, who makes great content with politicians and political figures that does really well online. People really seem to like your stuff. You're smart. You're young. How old are you?
22.
Oh, you kids.
Yeah.
He's from this new generation of kids who are just so inspiring. And he looks like he's about to pass you the strongest strain of weed you've ever smoked, which is pretty badass.
I just got my hair cut too, so I guess I need to really fix that.
That's your hair when it's cut?
Yeah, it used to be a little bit like we were getting mullet. We were getting close to it. Also, why are you talking about me like you're Tim's age, like you're in your early 50s? What's that about?
You kids, I mean, look, Tim and I, our generations let you kids down. But
I have to tell you, the weed these days is way stronger.
It's better,
and I can't even do it. It's just for Jack now.
It's too strong.
Jack gave me some weed. I'm like, what is this?
It isn't fun anymore. It used to be that you could smoke a lot of weed and get really high, but now it's like you take one hit and you're already fucking stoned, and it's not fun anymore. We'll get into that. Our first topic today is my generation, and I suppose Jack's as well, although he's a bit younger. I'm 24. We grew up during an unprecedented housing crisis. Mm-hmm. Then as we reached our teen years and began to come of age, we got the next great epidemic that killed a lot of people and locked us in our houses for a couple of years. And now that we're finally entering our young adulthood and starting up our lives, we've got a new Great Depression. So it seems like on the national tragedy checklist, the next thing is a war. But fortunately, we here in the United States have all of our great allies in Europe to help back us up. Jack, how does somebody of your young age feel about coming of age during all of these terrible tragedies?
Pretty fucking badly. And you mentioned COVID. There's certainly a feeling of just discontent with everything that's happened, that we feel like, why did we have to care so much about COVID? I know y'all have talked a lot on the pod about the certain feeling with our generation of, well,
he's a listener.
This doesn't, I know, right? Tuned in, locked in. I don't know if I'm going to be able to top the crazed MAGA. What was her name again?
Natalie.
I just had to tune out of her broadly. But we kind of just feel like everything has been taken from us and no one cares about us. I know that's, certainly the feeling of a lot of younger guys. But that there's kind of nothing left. And what are we working for besides good old shareholder value? And so, yeah, as my friends are graduating right now, I thought that, the first weeks of the Trump administration, and even before, when people who were going to go work, really smart people were going to go work at the DOJ or at the FBI, or they were going to be working at state, and they were getting these emails basically saying, oh, so you can go fuck yourself. I was like, okay, so my generation starting to feel it there with the Trump presidency. But now we get the recession that we pretty much all could have predicted if you were a consistent Bulwark or Trump at large listener. And yet we don't feel good about it. So I don't really know what to say more than like, ouch, is our perspective on every other generation. Why is a question that comes up a lot. And yeah.
I want to get into why. I want to explore all that, all the bad stuff, and how you guys are. But I do need to just pick on you a little bit first. It's not that bad. I mean, what year were you born in?
2002. The best year to be born in.
Oh, God. So you were born after 9/11.
Yes.
Wow. So you missed 9/11.
Let me tell you, man, as somebody who was 11 months old during 9/11, I'm glad you didn't have to see that. It rocked me to my core.
You missed 9/11, so okay, things aren't that bad. Okay, imagine if you were born instead of 2002, you were born in 1902. Okay, you're born in 1902. You get 17 years old. What do you get then? Spanish fucking flu. Everybody dies. You have World War I.
But you get sent off to war. 1902, Tim? Like, this is not a discussion.
I'm just saying, stick with me, Jack. If you survived World War I, if you survived World War I, all your friends died. You'd watch them all die face down in the muck, and then you grow up and you have a child, and then World War II happens. Then the Nazis take over. This is Joe Biden's generation. Wasn't he born in 1902? He's about 122. So, and these people, they sacrificed. Did they go, oh no, everything has been taken from me? No. They fucking built the American empire.
Well,
so
I don't know if those people were necessarily told at the youngest age of they have to follow this system and thus will be rewarded with X. I don't want to go back and do revisionist 1902 history here, but there's a lot of people.
Should we go to 1802?
I think we should. That's when America was our greatest,
in 1802, right? Things aren't great.
Can we get the tariff charts from that year? I don't know. I just feel like our generation, like Cam can attest to this, we were told what we had to do, and if we did it, then there would be an American dream of sorts. And that's not coming true. So I think that, like, what has been set out before us is maybe the big gripe here. And also, the millennials benefited so much from what was supposed to be, this great explosion of innovation in tech in America. Everything was subsidized for millennials by these VCs, like Uber and Uber Eats and any of these tech platforms that used to be so much better and weren't like preying upon people in their early good stages were either much cheaper or much less I will make you angry for profit. So even like the benefits of what you want to be like, oh, you're in this great, the world that's been created for you. We're also getting kind of like the shitty late stage capitalism version of it. There's my complaint. That's my 1902 rebuttal.
I have a question for you, Tim. Did you and your friends, when you were in your early 20s, ever talk about, oh, gee, wouldn't it just be so much better if we were born like 30 years ago? Mm-hmm. Because that's a conversation my friends and I have all the time. It's like, could you imagine how fucking sick it would be if we just got to be this current age in like the 1980s? Born in
like or born in the 70s or something like that.
You guys never did that?
No, of course we didn't do that. Shit was great. Are you kidding me? In 2003, we were benefiting from ZERP. It was a normal kind of weed. We were still able to get opium in our early 20s, actually, because the Afghanistan war hadn't started yet and ruined the opium supply in America. So that was nice. And then Uber started up, and we were able to get very cheap rides to go pick up our avocado toast,
which was
cheap.
We
enjoyed that, and we started dressing like rustic. We started and like listening to the Lumineers.
Some of you still
and
are.
Everything was just happy.
I've seen
people
your
were
jeans.
Happy. Yeah, people were happy. And we appreciated the society we've been given. I mean, we didn't buy a house.
You must have had malls that you could go to where you could just hang out and walk around and go to stores.
We mauled. Totally, we mauled. I mauled all the time.
I mean, I mauled when I was like 12. Oh my God. If you were a group of
Was mauling also a slang for making out in your era, or is that just me?
Not particularly.
So we mauled at the mall.
Oh,
you could make out at the mall.
Did you ever have a girls phase, Tim?
I did.
And how did that go
Grief.
for you?
Horrible. Horrible.
How was
no
it for
confidence?
More importantly, how was it for them? Were they
worse?
There was no enjoying of the mauling?
I know we're supposed to talk about Trump. I apologize to the Bulwark listeners. We're about to talk about Trump, but maybe some of you want to hear this. My prom date, was a friend of a friend. It's kind of like a blind prom date, but she was excited. She thought I was cute, apparently. And I got so drunk at the prom that I got taken to my friend's house and threw up and like passed out. And my prom date had to be a third wheel and go home with the other couple that was actually mauling. So I abandoned her. I got too drunk to even take her home. And then I passed out at a friend's house.
And now
not
you're
great.
gay.
Well, I would say that happens to the best of us. But to return to your 1902 point, we didn't have prom because of COVID.
Oh.
Not that that's like the most consequential. I think if that is the consequential loss of life, then like you need to focus on some better things. If that's like the worst thing that ever happened to you. But just it's your 1902.
Good play. Good touche. Okay. We're going to do more prom or non-prom stories in the case of Jack. And I don't know, maybe Cameron can reflect on the girls he was kissing when he wasn't running from school shooters. But we'll get back to that at the end of the episode. Currently, we should talk about how bad Donald Trump is. And Jack, you talk about that a lot on your program.
Constantly.
But the thing that befuddles us, that is part of our exercise here on FYPod, which is why we had Natalie on last week. I don't know how much that illuminated, but maybe a little bit.
Well, a lot.
Is okay. So all this bad shit's happening. It's all pretty much Trump's fault.
Mm-hmm.
And like Trump has been the kind of main figure in public life as you've grown. Mm-hmm. So why are the other 22-year-olds who are like vaping and trading crypto and, watching Dave Portnoy day trade on live stream? Like why aren't they lib-pilled yet? I guess is my question.
Probably because they thought it was always broken, whether or not the Trump tariffs and economic collapse more broadly. I know that, most people for some reason think the Trump presidency was 2017 to, February of 2020. So they don't, get upset at him for his horrible mismanagement of COVID and the first economic collapse he oversaw. But because they more broadly did not think that anything was good. That is the perspective of my generation. Whether this changes it, that's still to be seen. I do think it will. When you have the cultural figures, to call them, like the Portnoy's pissed off, then it's starting to break through. Whether this will be like put at the feet of Trump, I don't actually know, because it seems like he is always able to skirt accountability for some reason. But I do think that this is certainly.
What about your text chains? Do you have any texts? Do you have any MAGA bros that you text?
I do, and they're a little pissed. But it has to hit them in a different way. Those people aren't really invested in the stock market in any big way, like my friends from back home. Again, I did get the text of kind of the more MAGA bros when they weren't getting the jobs or the market is tough. But again, we're still coming out of this time where for some reason we decided that was a Biden economy with low unemployment. So until it starts to really hit them in a way that they can directly connect to Trump, which I guess is going to be the larger project of our media apparatus, I don't know how it's going to change their minds. But when Portnoy is getting pissed, I do see that as a good sign for the Gen Z bro coalition and making them hate Trump. But it's also the greatest thing that Trump has going for him is that he's whatever anyone wants him to be to anyone. So it's what we've seen approaching the tariffs of, well, he's not actually going to do that. Well, what he meant when he said that, what he's honestly going to do, is all I heard from anyone in MAGA world. And that is how most people view the Trump of it all, that he is whatever they think he is. And so until what he is completely fucking you, and everyone can get on that point, it's not going to break through enough. But when you're interacting with it every day, it will.
I think it's also worth noting that like people our age don't know what tariffs are.
Yeah.
We don't know how
Neither
tariffs
does the
work.
president.
You guys are stupid too. That's true.
Well,
Very not out.
when
You
it
don't
comes to
read.
whether or not the president knows, it sort of brings us back to Hanlon's razor, which is the idea that you should never attribute to malice what can be adequately attributed to stupidity. So there's a lot of people in MAGA world where I call it MAGA's razor, where you apply both malice and stupidity. So, for example, when Lauren Handjob at Beetlejuice Bobert was mixing up Oliver and Roger Stone, I thought that was stupidity. But MAGA has also shown us that there's always a little bit of malice involved. But with Trump, how much is he being a useful idiot for Peter Thiel and the other people who are trying to tank the economy and seize control? And how much is he twirling his mustache? I truly don't know how much Donald Trump understands what the tariffs were going to do here.
Well, the Thiel point to me is the most important one, because you can think the markets are crashing. Every guy who attended his inauguration has lost tens of billions of dollars. But then you also have to recognize what tariffs are a great
the guys on stage
is,
you mean?
Yeah. But it's like
not the forgotten man that was in the stadium. I don't know how much
that
they've
was
lost.
left out in the cold.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part, is that they were taking the screens away from the National Mall, and all the MAGA people who were like, I paid so much money to be here and now it's being taken away. And they were talking about their costs. It's like, you've spent $4,000 to come to DC for the inauguration, and costs are a big problem in your life. Okay. Sure. But when they were taking all the screens away from the mall, it's like, they were just like, how badly can we fuck these people over? But the thing with Bezos or Tim Apple or whoever wants to like come to Mar-a-Lago and, kiss his ass, it's like, there'll be a little cut out for them. They can kind of have their exception. And that's when the corruption really is obviously going to start to ramp up. That's something that we certainly have to be focusing on. That is the best song we can sing about the administration, to me, is who's getting off while you're getting fucked.
It's an interesting way to put it. I think that Trump, my answer is, well, first before I say this, I think Cameron really owned me right there when I was talking about how dumb Gen Z was. And then he immediately dropped Hanlon's razor after that. Just be like,
that's a Columbia education for you.
I read. Yeah, I went to Columbia for 1 semester. Okay.
Hey, 1.5.
Excuse me. Trump, I think when he did the tweet about the bleat about how the fentanyl was going to get tariffed,
yeah,
I think that was a pretty good indication that he doesn't really quite understand how tariffs work. I do think if you asked him how is the tariff gathered, who is collecting it, I don't really think he would quite understand it. But I don't. So I do think this is. I think your MAGA razor is apt here. I think that it is idiocy and malice. Jack, I guess I want both of your take on this. Jack first. So then the question is of getting these, it's true of every group, but we're focused on these younger guys, getting them to realize that Trump is fucking them.
Yeah.
Okay. How to do that? What are the right tools for that? In addition to being a content creator yourself and attending college, you also have been advising some Democrats on their social media and how they could maybe better talk to other people that were born after 9/11. What's some of your advice been on that front?
Well, some of my advice has been there's a great example that I like to use that fits all of this, which is members of Congress. Tim, you struggled with your mic because of your age early in this episode, but they don't still know yet how to use what mic when. And I had to explain to them, sometimes it is good for social media to have bad audio quality when you want it to seem authentic, when you're moving, when you're on the go, when you're abruptly starting something to catch someone's attention. But also sometimes it's good when you're in a professional setting and you want to say something clear to have good audio quality, right? Good video quality. You want it to be professional. You want it to be good to look at. Some people in Congress who want to reach Gen Z can't and then shouldn't. Not everyone has to. It is not the group effort. That is totally okay. What I have advised as much as I possibly can is if you don't know what you're talking about, you don't have to say it. And that is totally cool because not everyone has to. But for those who do, be chronically online. Post the JD, you didn't say please with, the NASDAQ falling apart behind it. Push those things. Find the places of the internet where a lot of people are culturally and maybe apolitically. Obviously making fun of JD Vance for having a fat fucking face is that's inherently political, but not really. It's kind of just a meme at this point.
Sebastian, please put this on the screen for the YouTube people now. It's been my favorite. It was you didn't say thank you with the fat JD. It really brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah, and so it's engage with the things that you understand, and if you can speak to them, then you should. I remember you had Ruben Gallego on, and you were talking to him about Zyn and Drake and Kendrick and so on and so on. It's like if you understand those things, go for it. But if you don't, please don't. Obviously, there are ways to approach social media saying the same thing, little tweaks around the edges to help your algorithm that are better. But really, it's just been speak in an authentic voice. I feel like it's so much of what we lack in the Democratic Party. You know, I didn't like the Charlie Kirk, Gavin Newsom podcast, and I know Gavin Newsom's number one hit list now, number one enemy, number one hater, and I like that. But what Charlie Kirk did say that was correct was that, you know, all these Democrats in Congress, or really just Democrats more broadly, are afraid to, you know, face long form spaces when they're not kind of leaning on the talking point. But you should just be yourself. I think the reason that we've seen the success and popularity of Bernie and AOC and their tour, even with people who are Republicans or disaffected Republicans who, you know, don't align with their views, you know, socially, fiscally, whatever it may be, is that you always know that Bernie is coming from a place that Bernie is always coming from. He's not feeding you a line of bullshit. He's not trying to come up with something to fit a new narrative. And I feel like a lot of that is what we lack, even in our social media approach, obviously, and all of our messaging, but that certainly.
Cam, do we need more very online chronic posters in the Democratic Party?
I think it's bespoke to who's doing the posting. Like, you'd think Bernie Sanders would not be the right candidate for viral online content because he's old and he's clearly not somebody who speaks internet. And yet his video of him in like a snow jacket just saying to the camera, "I am once again asking you for your support," has become such a memeable thing that it gets people talking. And a lot of the tweets he posts are the ones that I see reposted the most, including by people who don't politically align with him. So I think Jack's right to say that the content, it sort of just depends on the situation. One thing that I noticed was that Cory Booker, a very odd politician, ended up becoming the Superman of the Democratic world by doing this very strange thing where he disrupted Trump, even just a little bit. And I think that that points to this very odd, abstract concept that people are going to respond positively to the folks who are standing up against Trump, especially if they're standing for 25 fucking hours straight, which I watched that and I said, Cory Booker, that's so admirable, that's so strong. And if you get me talking shit about Gavin Newsom, I could do 26 hours. Because I am his Kendrick Lamar. Me and Gavin Newsom is the Kendrick and Drake.
Gavin is Drake.
Hate the way that he walks. Hate the way that he talks. Hate the way that he dresses.
I'm gonna perform an anti-Gavin Newsom anthem at the Super Bowl. But yeah,
Gavin is never going to come out of my podcast because Jack. Though, like, is that the? I want to ask about like the going and trying to reach out to bros. Mm-hmm. But like, is that right though? Is like the Cory thing, the Cory Booker thing, like going after Trump? You interviewed him. Yeah, that was really more just about like feeding the home team, right?
Well, I think, and I asked him, okay, so you did this. Why was it important to you? And it was really the first bit that I got out of it was like he wanted to do this to demonstrate that there is stuff that we still can do, and kind of being instructive to the Democratic Party of what you should do. Cory Booker made a moment. It had like the live stream, 320 million likes on TikTok. The Democrats put out, I don't know if you've seen like fuck it, this person highlights, and it's like Cory Booker at tight end at Stanford. I don't know if that's breaking through to the bros, but there's been a lot of Cory Booker fan edits. You know, Cam, you brought up virality, and something that I try to explain to these people is that you're not viral because your post does well. You are viral when someone takes what you did, sees it as important enough or, you know, potentially successful enough on social that they want to then share it. They want to make their own content out of your moment. And certainly we saw that from Cory Booker. And at least he's fighting, at least he's telling people like, go out and do something. And, you know, I don't know if Democrats are going to go out and make a whole scene because they want to oppose Trump, or if maybe they just want to make a moment for themselves. But I don't know, if you're a presidential contender, you kind of have to go do that. This could get me into a whole Kamala Harris rant that maybe we'll get into later, but it's showing people you can have a great moment right now and it is worthwhile to oppose them. Did that break through to all the bro spaces? I don't know, a little bit. Yeah, he talked for 25 hours. I think that's pretty fucking cool. But no, he's just demonstrating, go out and speak. It's important.
Props around to Cory. Props all around. Snaps. The lib kids snap when they give.
I mean, one of the things that the bros definitely don't respond to with the Democratic Party. Obviously, we need to start speaking their language a little bit more. Obviously, the sort of more performative stuff that, you know, when the Democrats use this kind of woke language, but don't put their money where their mouth is, and then suddenly turn their backs on a lot of the things that they're saying they're going to do.
And that's
That
the big
doesn't
problem.
work. But, I think that people see the Democratic Party as spineless. They see
Yes.
the Democratic Party performing this intent to get in the way of certain things. And then at the end of the day, a lot of people in the party will either capitulate to Trump or not stand up when it's important. So that's what Booker did, less than the extreme virality and the widely positive response, and also the message to people that there are Democrats who are going to try to do something to get in the way.
Yeah.
What it was showing that the Democratic people in the Democratic Party have something of a spine that they will literally for 25 hours keep up, because that man had to stand for 25 hours. And that was a message to people that someone is out here doing something that is terribly inconvenient. And yes, it's politically positive for him. It's not like he was dying for our sins up there, but it was somebody disrupting.
Well, Cam, you hit on the most essential point that I continue to come back to when people are talking about, like, oh, well, what do we need to do to change? And it's like all the woke shit, and all of Gavin Newsom deciding he was going to have every MAGA person on his podcast, is that the problem with saying, there's no problem with emphatically saying, like Tim Walz did, you are not going to check the genitals of some 7th grader who wants to play soccer with their friends. That's fucking batshit. Like, you're just not going to do that. That's weird. The problem is when you pretend to care and then pull back when it's not important, right? When you want to talk down to someone on this perch that you have of like, oh, my social ideology is better than yours. But once it gets inconvenient, I will immediately run away from it. And again, that's why I've told these people, it's like, do whatever you like to do, speak the way that you want to speak. If it doesn't break through, it's fine. You're already in Congress. You're not going to be president or a senator. Just like communicate to your constituents and try to do well. Just be yourself. God, I cannot believe we're having this conversation with adults here, but it's like, that's what we've had to say to them. It's like, stop thinking about anything else. Just talk like a normal person. Say fuck if you do. If you don't, please don't. There was the great clip because Brian and I were giving this whole, like, please swear if you like to presentation. And immediately after, I can't even remember who it was. I think it was a congressperson from Washington. She said, she's like, I don't usually swear much, but we have to go out there and we have to fuck Trump. And I was like, we don't have to fuck Trump. It's like, you can't deliver this message, so don't. And that's okay. But it's when it is when we act like, oh, these colleges are these liberal bastions and the thing that we're doing and care for our students, and then we'll immediately fucking sell them to some masked thugs. That's when people really hate us, when our shit is exposed as fake. And that is a lot of what we see way too much of.
Okay, so I agree with that. And I think that people should care about what they care about. It's one of my big pieces of advice is to Dems, and be mad and show passion about what you care about. Okay. But is there not some policy element to it and some actually demonstrating that you care about what younger men care about? I mean, to me, it's like, look, what were a lot of these guys radicalized by? Or like, it's like, I didn't want to, it's a lot of it is like libertine stuff. I don't want to wear a mask. I don't want you to regulate my crypto. I want to be able to have a creme brulee vape without the government telling me that I can't, right? Like, there's some element of that. Some of it is the Maha stuff. Like, I want to fucking looks max. I want to like do my, you know what I mean? So like
mouth tape,
right? Whatever. Yeah. Mouth tape, whatever. Don't mouth tape, people. Not a good idea. So my question is there not some outreach, like substantive outreach that needs to happen where like, there've got to be some Dems that are aligned with some bros on some issues. So can't you go onto those podcasts and talk about those things? Like, do you have to be fully down the line?
And it has to be apolitical. I think we're going to get into this.
But can't it be on some issues? Can't they? There's got to be some things they agree with.
It has to be apolitical and targeting their lives very specifically, in my opinion. Like the manosphere, Maha, crypto, all of that stuff is just like, it's about just betterment of your life in ways that seem very easy. Like, crypto is technically very easy. If you buy the right shitcoin and it explodes, you're fucking rich, right? If you just eat steak and eggs off of a cutting, if you just like go to the moon, baby. But it's like, if you just eat your steak and eggs and avocado off the cutting board with some honey, now you're healthy. And, Jordan Peterson had such great success because the first thing he said was like, it is good to make your bed in the morning, have some breakfast, take a shower, and then do life. And the very small but consequential things that like tell young men, all right, here's a way to improve your life is good. It's beneficial. And if we can just speak to that in some way, like here is the policy. I know you talked to Wes Moore, and it's like, is more male nurses the way to go? But it's like, I don't know. Here is a small thing that we're going to do that's targeted because we care about you and we realize that you're not the enemy. As a lot of young guys in my generation, I don't know, feel like they've been presented early on in their lives that they told that they, for right or for wrong, they're like, had to go away or had to shut up or we didn't need your voice right now. So I was like, no, we do care about you. And here's
you have privilege or whatever.
Yeah. And, that's talk about like, wanting someone who's going to oppose all that. I don't know. I just don't feel like anyone feels like they have privilege. And certainly, young men who are disproportionately graduating at like what, 60%, 50% less than women in their generation. These are people who do not feel like that they have a positive future to look towards, while they still feel this pressure from all the influencers that they're, being talked down to, that like they need to be a conventional, man and provide, and they don't think that they can do that. And so then they, go to lonely spaces where they don't talk to people. Gym is a great example of this. Not that playing video games is bad, but that's pretty self-isolating. It's also much cheaper and still interaction with other guys. It's not good, but we just need like very substantive.
Who did that? And I don't know these people you're talking about. Who's Jim?
Who's Jim? Oh, Jim, J-I-M. That's where you go to gym.
Oh, go to the gym.
You go to the J-I-M?
Oh, you haven't seen this? Go gym. It's a thing.
No, I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's just like the gym bro. I go gym, and it's just J-I-M. We're learning today.
Well, yeah, I am learning. This is a cultural exchange. That's the point of the show.
The gap in Gen Z is really wide, though, and I think it like actually is. Like in our generation,
we saw some graphic. We never ended up talking about it on the show, but there was something like Gen Z Volume 1 and Gen Z Volume 2, and it was sort of the pre-COVID Gen Z and the Gen Z that had something of a teenage experience without COVID. But for me, the biggest problem is that a lot of Democrats engage in culture wars because they don't want to talk about the more populist policies that actually do get people together. And culture wars are designed for us to lose because white men who we kind of need the votes of feel left out by most of the culture wars. We feel as though the culture wars are designed to be some sort of self-flagellation tour for us to be punished for being white men. And the biggest problem when Democrats are engaging in these culture wars, because they don't want to talk about oligarchs and they don't want to talk about the financial system that's fucking everybody over and robbing us of our future, we'll engage in these woke culture wars and then we won't put our money where our mouth is. Yep. Like we get so much shit on trans issues, and instead of doing the normal person thing, which is saying to people, do you really fucking care? Like, how has your life been affected by a trans person being able to use the bathroom? Like, how does that actually affect you? Why do you give a shit? You're wasting your fucking time, right? Instead of doing that, we grandstand on an issue like trans rights, and then we've got guys like Gavin Newsom walking it back. So we engage in
Gavin
culture
Newsom
wars.
Hate fest.
We engage in culture wars that we're gonna fucking lose. And then not only do we not put our money where our mouth is, we see things like anti-oligarch messaging, and a lot of people in the Democratic Party don't cultivate the energy around that, and they just go back to saying, I'm going to perform some sort of societal progression.
Centrist Tim has to intervene, Cam. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Centrist Tim is coming out. John Huntsman spokesperson's coming out. Get ready. No labels. Hashtag. Okay, maybe that would work, to de-emphasize the culture wars and emphasize economic populism. And that is going to be an attempt that someone in the Bernie AOC wing goes for. And I'm okay with that. That's probably better. It's certainly better than what you guys have been talking about, like limp wokeism or whatever. But isn't there a better option, which is just like, be fucking normal? Like, can't you just have a Democrat that wants a strong social safety net? I'm about to answer. Well, they're like, wants a strong social safety net, and like also wants to protect people's rights, but like thinks it's fine if a community or a league wants to make a rule where you can't, be in the shot put at age 17 if you were assigned male at birth. Like that's a fine rule to have. Like that's not that big of a deal. And like you just go into the shows and you talk to the guys about whatever you care about. Like Jack said, you talk a little about football and you do some day trading and you're just like, you can just hang. You're just a good hang. Can't we just find a good hang? Isn't that better? Isn't that than like, deciding that we need to do full populism, full left populism?
No. Like the short of it is no. I feel like everyone is looking.
Have we tried that? Obama did that pretty good. Bill Clinton was pretty good at that. That worked. Why not? Why mess with a good thing?
Did it not feel revolutionary in 2008? Did it not feel inspirational and that there was self-actualizing to be had through politicians? I don't know. I feel like everyone needs someone to feel fulfilled through. And if we're going back to these bro spaces I care so much about, it's like they're like uniquely positioning themselves against institutions to have their success to tell you can succeed, right? All the crypto guys or the morning routine dude who I wanted to talk about, what they are pitching to you is you can have the same, economic stability that I can. You can live the great life that I do if you abandon your ideas of what the traditional path of, education and getting a job looks like. There's a reason why we see this attack on intellectualism and expertise, because they want to say it's wrong because they don't want you to engage with that. They want you to buy their course, right? And I'm not saying that our next president needs to be like, again, buy my course, but I don't know. People want a solution to their problems that they attribute to a broken set of institutions. And so I don't think that just like kind of chilling and like, we're going to do business as usual. It's not business as usual. Who feels like business as usual has ever been the case? I cannot remember a time when Donald Trump didn't really exist in our minds. Like, this is how it has always been. Of course, I want change. I want Medicare for all. I want our government to make shit work. I want us to build more houses. I want us to do things. I do not want to return to some Obama norms era where nothing gets done and we treat the other side like they're regular people. They're clearly not. I don't want to snap back into that. No, let's present a positive vision in which we're actually going to fight for something. Like, I feel
Here's
like
what I
that's
like
how
about Jack. Here's what I like about Jack. Jack is so in on the discourse that he just offered a simultaneous abundance and socialism agenda. So Jack's like, I'm cool with Ezra. I'm cool with Ezra Klein. I want abundance. Let's build houses. I'm also cool with DSA. I want Medicare for all. That's a great job. That's a great job, Jack.
Speaking of DSA.
Jack, you're doing both. You're like, I'm not. I want everybody to watch my feed. If you're I don't abundance bro, or if you're an abundance bro, you're welcome here.
Come on the show, Bulwark, listener.
Right. Yeah, if you're a socialist, you're welcome here. Cameron, what do you think about all that?
I don't know. Isn't this what more normal people fucking want? Is things to be better? I don't know. It seems reasonable.
I think the Democratic Party should focus all of our effort on positioning ourselves as the party that is fighting off the next Great Depression. I was looking at this article that said Republicans panic over Trump tariffs because last time, quote, we lost the House and Senate for 60 years. And part of me is saying, okay, so we're about to face the consequences of Trump's new administration. It is going to be really fucking bad. This reciprocal tariffs shit that I'm still kind of learning myself, but it doesn't sound pretty, is going to be disastrous for the American economy. And the Republican Party is directly to blame, as they have been for so many of the things like this. So if the Democrats say, okay, we are going to focus all of our energy on implementing policies that try and stave off this next Great Depression, we are going to do everything we can to prevent the people who are trying to tank the economy, that's going to affect people a lot more. That is going to work because Democrats tweeting about egg prices did not work for people. But us saying they are tanking the economy on purpose, here's what we're doing, that is going to get a lot more people involved than any of the culture war issues that we're fighting. And it's something where we can really put our money where our mouth is, as opposed to something like trans issues where the party's clearly not going to be able to align on it across the board. Let's say Trump's tariffs, like other tariffs before it, are tanking the economy and the billionaires are going to seize more power than ever. Let's be the last line of defense and do everything we can to make the system work for you.
Yeah.
Econ pilled Cameron Castle.
And just because you brought it up, I just have to complain about one thing. Not a you, Cam, complain. I'm tired of eggs. I've heard enough about eggs. We got to stop with the eggs. It's like first they came for the global economy and I said nothing because I was fucking focused on eggs. It's like, stop saying eggs. You sound so stupid. Like, yes, eggs were expensive and people were upset. Lots of people eat eggs. But eggs are like, it's not the only thing. It is an example of things. Please stop talking about the eggs. Okay, that's my point.
Feels like something that no. Here's what it is. It's fine to talk about it if you're mentioning it normally. It feels like a crutch.
Yes.
And like this. Like I don't actually know. I'm not actually in touch with what's happening in the economy.
Yeah.
And people keep talking about the eggs. So that's what I'm going to talk about. I feel that what the candidates do. Okay, we're going to run out of time because this should probably be a 3-hour podcast. But I've got to go to the airport because I don't know if you guys know, but I'm in New York and I didn't come.
Didn't want to hang out with us.
Fucking
You, Tim.
Cheated on Cameron with some of my other podcast co-hosts. The morning routine. Did you have any bits on that? Have people seen this?
I've lots
Have people
of bits
seen
on
this
this.
video? It's
Run
very
the clip.
viral. If you haven't seen it, it's a black guy, muscly black guy, and he gets up at 3 in the morning and he puts his face in cold water. Then he dives into a pool where there's a
water. So this is important. Can I explain it?
Please.
I've never heard of this, so I need you to.
You haven't seen this?
So this is. I was in DC last week. I literally talked to everyone about this. I got Eric Swalwell to do it because it's just my obsession. Because it's so important to encapsulate everything that we need to talk about with young men right now. Okay, so this guy, he's huge, he's jacked, he's big. He wakes up at 3:40 in the morning. Right, he's got the muscles. He takes the mouth tape and the nose, breath thing off, and he brushes his teeth and he puts on his Rolex, which he wears in the water and when he's running. I don't get it, but he's got a cool Rolex. But he has these bottles of like the coolest sparkling water and most expensive that you could get. Throughout the day, they are poured into these bowls of ice that he dunks his face in. This is clearly a dumb guy. The only point that you see that he has like some level of economic success is he's in front of his computer screen, like ostensibly in a meeting, and he goes, oh, well, we got to do at least 10,000, which means nothing. I don't know what that means. But the most important thing,
probably Ethereum, probably ETH.
Probably
buying ETH.
The most important thing about the morning routine guy, aspirational vision of health, wealth, happiness, all that structure, is throughout the videos, a faceless, nameless, voiceless woman comes and does acts of service to him. She puts on his clothes. She pours the water in the bowl. She gives him his food. This is what is being presented to men, is that self-actualization comes from economic stability that gets you a servant woman. That is what is being pushed. And you had Deja Fox on the pod, who just announced for Congress. People should support her.
Shout out Deja.
Good candidate. I didn't like one thing she said. She said that women have escaped being red-pilled. That is fundamentally untrue. The same economic insecurity plaguing men and making them move to the right is the same for women as well, who have also been taught as they've been pushed into this, right-wing echo chamber. I think a lot of it has to do with Alabama sorority rush, is that they would also like a lot of the nice things that come with the economic stability. And they think that they have to get that through men that pop up on their feed with that economic stability. But this is what is being taught to people. Yes, the trad wives. It is all tied up and not like some traditional conservatism. No one wants to live on a farm. That sounds like bullshit. Where do all of these MAGA influencers that you see live? They live in LA, they live in New York, they live in DC.
Nashville.
They're not
like woman of the people, Natalie Winters, who went to Harvard Westlake, the most elite high school in Los
Okay, hold on.
Angeles.
Though, what is the push? Okay, I accept your analysis of the situation.
Yes,
that actually makes it worse, though. Right, so if the right is offering these people, and if this guy isn't really political, he's like
no, but that's why
like
it's
a cultural
so important.
Right, exactly. So if he is offering young men, like, you can get your power back, you can, men can be strong and the fucking provider again, and women are secondary. They're just there to support you. If that's their pitch to young men, what is the counter pitch to that is appealing, that does not make you sound like you want to diminish their power or that you're whatever?
This is what it is. They are making that appeal so you buy their course on drop shipping, right? That's what it's all about, is that you can do this from your home. You can escape the matrix, right? Because this system is broken. You're going to do a 9 to 5, like the Andrew Tate clip. It's like a job. Yeah. I have a boss. I'm so sad we didn't get to talk about Andrew Tate. I might have one point at the end on Andrew Tate.
Keep doing it
if we have time. But it is about.
We'll just cut the boomer mailbag today. We have enough from Jack.
But it is about It is about like escaping the system that does not provide you with what you need. Your Mallory McMorrow interview, right? She said people in Michigan used to be able to have their house, have their car, pay for college, things are good, go on a vacation, maybe a house up north. None of that seems or looks or certainly is available to anyone in our generation, even if they go to the good college and take on hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt that they'll never be able to pay off, and then they'll never be able to get a house. This is our outlook on things. We think we have to break out of the system. What we have to provide, whether it is a government workforce program, which I think would be fucking fantastic, is a vision for people to have good jobs that respect them and give them dignity in their work and lives that lead to a future where they do not have to work anymore. And that's not when they're 75 or 80 fucking years old.
Okay,
right?
so how do you do that without sounding like a P word?
Well, I think that we've really said pussy a couple times on this podcast. We got to do something
can fire
about
it
that.
off,
I'm
Tim.
glad that you
mauled
censored.
before.
Sorry?
I've mauled.
You've mauled. You can say pussy.
Okay. I mean, I'm glad that we're avoiding saying pussy because it's really not something we should be doing on this podcast. I think one thing that's missing is emphasizing the idea that general liberal values actually provide a clearer path to having fun in life than conservative values. Because conservative values want you to be isolated. Conservatives want you to be isolated. They don't want you to be around other people, because when you meet people from other communities, when you kind of expand your vision of how human beings work, you tend to adopt more liberal principles. I know people who have come from MAGA heartland families that have then moved to cities, and whether or not they've necessarily changed the way that they vote, their outlook and perspective on shit has changed for the better because they just met other people. And conservative principles, whether or not they provide you this stability that comes with being in this, nuclear family from the 1960s, they prevent you from expanding your horizons and being around other people. And part of what aligns culturally with the type of liberalism that people reject is having a more exciting social life. It's getting to meet other people. And I think that that's really important. And I think that focusing on the idea that these conservative principles isolate you and hold you back is one thing that could be very valuable.
Listening to you, I had what would have been a great idea, unfortunately, if it wasn't for the tragedy of the suicide. What you need, the Dems need is a Bourdain. This is the answer. Worldly masculinity.
Yep.
I'm a man, but I go and travel, and I care, and I'm interested in other cultures, and I get to have a bon vivant kind of lifestyle. Who is
what else we need? We need more guys like Bill Burr. Bill Burr is coming out like a voice for the people. He is everything that was appealing a long time ago about Joe Rogan.
Well, Shane Gillis is like this too, yeah.
Bill Burr is no bullshit. I don't know if you all saw this clip that came out this week of him talking to people in the media who were trying to gotcha him with these questions about where he is on certain points in politics. He was just like, no, I'm not doing this bullshit. Fuck you. I'm a dancing clown. You shouldn't listen to my opinions about anything. After he was saying certain political statements that would otherwise be considered inflammatory. Bill Burr is no bullshit. He is a man. He acts like a man. And he also talks shit about guys like Elon Musk. And if you have any questions about it for him, he's going to say, fuck off. I'm a comedian. Go fuck yourself.
He's also in an interracial marriage, and he loves his wife. And you can do all those things. Like that, these things are not exclusive.
And he makes it cool to love your wife, and he makes it cool to respect your wife.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing. But the point is, he doesn't pontificate about whatever bullshit he's espousing. He just tells it like it is. So yes, we need a Bourdain. We need to emphasize worldliness and expanding your horizons. We also need guys like Bill Burr who are going to be no fucks given while also saying the right stuff and not throwing themselves a fucking party about it. Bill Burr isn't asking you to thank him for espousing certain progressive beliefs.
Have you thanked me?
So I think that's important.
You know who we don't need on this front and who doesn't fit this mold? Tim Walz.
Stop it. That's fucking bullshit. No, I'm going to disagree with you. No, Tim Walz is going after the nerds. Tim Walz, I'm going to let you take it because he was constrained by the consultants. You go for it. I'm just going to settle my anger for a second with that statement.
We agree. The most popular the Harris campaign ever was, at least in front of me, was when Tim Walz was calling the Republicans weird. That was the most energy I ever saw for Harris, other than when Sleepy J stepped down was when Tim Walz said, what you guys are doing is weird.
Yep.
Saying that kids shouldn't get school lunches is weird. Saying that we should control women's bodies is weird. That's the long and short of it. It's fucking odd that you guys are acting like this. That was when I saw the most people excited about this campaign. But I also don't swear by Tim Walz like he's the end all be all. I'm just saying, like,
I do.
Him being toothless in a debate against Slay D Vance, like,
it's over.
That's
Your
not
career's over. That's a career ender.
Stop
if
it.
You let you haven't thanked me yet, JD Vance walk all over you, and you talk about how he's got great intentions. JD Vance is a sociopath. He's the least appealing person in all of public life. Sorry. Well, you need somebody. True. You need somebody with the fucking cojones to go head to toe to toe.
So are we saying that now the political rule is that vice presidential debates do matter, that they are important? I can't agree with that. No, I too was upset with that night. I thought it was a complete failure. I don't think we should be nice to these people. But Tim Walz was not nice to these people, right? Like, he was not at first. He was told to settle it down. He's apologized for that. I think Tim Walz is the guy. I think Tim Walz is our FDR. I think Tim Walz has already made it clear that when he gets in, he's fucking shit up. We're actually making change. And I am full Tim Walz pilled. He was the only person on either of those tickets with a positive approval rating. People like Tim Walz. He's a relatable guy. He can play Madden. He's an everyman. He is, sure.
He couldn't play Madden. Did you watch him play Madden?
Yeah.
Very poorly. I bet AOC beat him.
So
he didn't seem like he knew what he was doing.
Man who was just running it up the gut every time, just halfback pitch. That's your big problem with Tim Walz.
Yeah, it was. His Madden strategy goes against the Jack Cocchiarella or ethos. Do what you really do.
But he does play. He just likes to run it up the gut. There's nothing wrong with that. Give me those 3 yards every time.
My biggest problem with Tim Walz during the debate was that he was playing it too nice. Yeah. Like, he was being he was being all respectability politics with Slay D Vance. And I'm just like, dude, this guy is a jackass who's being funded by this generation's Roy Cohn, Peter Thiel. Like, go up there and be like, hey, JD Vance, tell me the story of how tell everybody who Peter Thiel is, and tell us the story about how he funded your career, put you on the map, and how he's involved with you and Donald Trump. Let's talk about that. No, we got like, hey, JD, I'm sure you're a nice guy, blah, blah, blah. No, go to JD Vance and say, hey, remember when you called Donald Trump Hitler? Remember when you said Donald Trump was Hitler? And it's like, no, we're running with him now. That's what I would have liked to see. I don't necessarily think this is the next FDR. I don't live and die by Walz. But I think Tim Walz has become this goes for you and me. I think he's become our new Luigi and Bibi Netanyahu, where he's come up like 3 episodes in a row.
Fine. Okay, I want to move on anyway.
Because he came up in episodes. It's supposed to be like, what the fuck is that comparison?
Yeah, that is our Mount Rushmore of the podcast. We need a 4th. Bibi, Luigi, Tim Walz. We'll see who gets that last slot. I want to play a game on the inverse. I think it's a lot easier. It's a lot harder to be like, who is a Dem that can speak to the youth? It's challenging. It's not as easy as it seems. You know what is easy? Who can we make the face of MAGA for these people? Like, who is very unappealing? I think this is something we've been poor at. Like, I look at the Trump world and I'm like, Mike Johnson, like, monitors his kids' porn. I don't know that enough Barstool listeners know about Mike Johnson. I think we should talk about him more. Scott Bessent is a Ponzi. Oh, this is one word I can't say because Sebastian says that it demonetizes us. But he's a Ponzi, a feat, you know what, who is like saying, I don't want you to have a big screen TV. F slur. Yeah, he is. Okay. He's horrible and very unappealing. I think I would like people to learn more about him as well. Are there any other characters?
I think it's Elon, obviously.
They like Elon though.
No, dude, how much people fucking hate Elon just lost a key race in Wisconsin, because those people who were showing up in Wisconsin were not voting for a judge. They were voting against Elon Musk.
I would also say this, that with and now I'm doing Trump hands. I got to stop. I'm going to put those away. Sometimes it's just as the sometimes, quite frankly, it comes over me and I got to stop doing that. But what I think that we have failed to do is through our internet practices, something I've been talking about a lot lately is I think annoyance on the internet is way more powerful than anger. Like, annoyance keeps you there. Annoyance makes you comment. Annoyance keeps it in your brain. Like, JD Vance is, sure, he's enraging, but he's fucking annoying, right? You just want to talk about how awful he is. JD is a great example of this because he's a slime ball. He's a squish and no one likes him, right? We have to come up with a better version of what a Republican stereotype is in your mind. Maybe not Republican, but like MAGA.
Yes.
Like the idea that a Democrat is the blue-haired college girl who goes to Columbia with Jack, like that is like that's in people's mind. We do
The
not have
MAGA
what
guy
I
is
say.
a guy with small penis who makes fun of you,
Who
but
doesn't
then
fuck.
cries when he gets pushed.
I don't
How
think
about
when
that?
I'm talking to my friends who are Republican aligned, and these are the people who are telling me, like, you know, my family voted for Trump, they didn't vote for Elon Musk. I don't think I can get them to be very interested in someone like Mike Johnson. I think the best target right now, especially if the Republican Party does what it seems like they're going to do and tries to distance themselves from Musk before the midterms, because Musk is obviously such a great way to mobilize people against MAGA. I think it's JD Vance. I think JD Vance is very easy to paint with the right facts as a puppet of the elite.
Mm-hmm.
JD Vance is charmless. Just because he's a debate lord like Ben Shapiro doesn't mean he has actual appeal. The people who
Max.
love Donald Trump don't love JD Vance. They just
No.
are glad that Trump has somebody who's, you know, a good
Palatable
puppet for
ish.
him.
Doing what he wants, unlike that horrible Mike Pence and Mother.
So I think that, and
okay.
these memes that we're
It's
seeing
JD and
of
Elon.
people, these memes of people distorting JD's face to be even more embarrassing looking, and, you know, making fun of the "did you ever say please or thank you" thing. It's really popular. JD Vance is fucking charmless. Donald Trump is a monster. He's attacking our institutions, blah, blah, blah. We don't like him here at the Bulwark. Spoiler alert, Bill Kristol doesn't like him. But JD Vance is not a charmer. Donald Trump is a charmer.
Trump is
JD
unfortunately funny.
is a fucking cardboard cuck loser who fucks couches. And we ought to talk about that. And Tim Walsh should have talked about it on the debate stage.
I
Let's
have
leave it
one
there.
porn point, unless we have to go.
This is it's your final point. One more point for Jack.
My final point is about porn. So this is great. This is the nice male wheelhouse. I would actually say
I'm not into porn. Just so you know, I have a lot of vices. That's not one for me.
I have intellectual thoughts about it, which is a great thing to say. But I would not make framing Mike Johnson as going after your porn. I don't think that would actually break through. The people who consume porn and OnlyFans the most are those who are like most upset with it. Like all these like, oh, we hate the OnlyFans girls for making a bunch of money. It's like, well, where's the money coming from? Like you guys are spending it. So there is like this internal hatred of the very lonely guy who spends all his time, you know, mauling himself. And so like, but that isolation, like it's kind of like the self-hatred. I would just say on my point there that there is a big, like, we need to like get this out of it. It's poison and it's bad. It's like the same Maha, but for, you know, screens and, you know, playing with your porpoise, to put it bluntly.
Got it.
Real quick, before we finish this up, I want to say I'm going to announce next week's guest at the end of the show, but coming up within the next couple weeks, there is an adult creator. I don't know if porn star is the word for it anymore, but I met online an adult creator, an identified MILF dominatrix named London River. Her Twitter feed is one third links to her OnlyFans page and her porn videos with full on explicit nudity right here on Twitter, and then 2/3 of it is just liberal retweets. Like she's just retweeting Tim and a bunch of the other Democrats that get retweeted
lib porn.
A lot.
So it's porn and then lib porn.
It's great. 1/3 like straight up her completely naked, and 2/3, you know, people talking shit about the tariffs. And I saw her and I said, "Hey, London, big fan. We would love to have you on FYPod." And she said, "Are you sure? Because, you know, the stuff that I put out, some people might find it controversial." And I said, "London, that's what we do here at the FYPod." So you're going to find out soon who our next guest is, but we're going to have her on to talk about whatever you talk to a liberal porn star about.
We're skipping Boomer Manuel because we're out of time. We're doing Gen Z news, and it's going to be a rapid fire Gen Z news. Here's the theme music.
Friend of the show and recipient of defamatory attacks from Jack, Deja Fox, is running for Congress in Arizona.
Woo!
There's a special election because her congressman unfortunately passed away. And now our first of presumably many FYPod guests is about to join the ranks of Congress. And she's really going to shake things up. How do you guys feel?
Here's why I want to end on a positive note. You know, you and Jack, it's all woe is me for Gen Z. There's no hope. There's no chance for a future. Society has ruined us. The guest list of FYPod in its own will prove that wrong. Just think about all the successes that we'll have, all the little buds that will blossom. They'll start here with us, with Cameron and his brick background, with us talking about bisexuality, and then they'll go off and become, Speaker of the House, or in Natalie's case, like maybe the spokesperson for a foreign Nazi party, or, in Jack's case, who knows what he could be, kind of a, hippie.
He's going to go to Burning Man at some point with this haircut and this general
Burning
look.
Man
Burning Man's
political
in his near
crossover success. He's coaching Congress people on how to curse on the internet. Think about all these successes that we'll have. There's a lot of opportunity out there in the world. It might not be the traditional path, but it'll happen.
Everybody, next week, we are going to have the man, the number one Democrat influencer, makes me and Jack
even more than Jack. Sorry,
Well, I
Jack.
think my
Jack
views are higher than his. I know what you're going to say.
We are having the great Harry Sisson. And if you don't know who that is, I encourage you to go to Twitter. I guess
Harry.
now it's called X, and just
Can't
look
believe
up
we
Harry
didn't get to talk
Sisson.
about this.
Do a Harry binge. We're so excited to have him on. It's going to be a great week. Jack, you're the man. Let's post up soon. We live close to each other. This has
And
been a
come
blast.
back, Jack. I don't know. We might need some bonus content with you. We had several topics we didn't get to, so we'll do it again.
I feel like everything we didn't get to because Tim just wanted to complain about 1902 because he's bad at arguing when
Okay,
real
well,
points are
next
brought
time,
before
how
him.
about this? Jack, you come back on the show,
I'll host.
and I'll take a total back seat. You do the show map, you do the rundown, you pick the clips, you do Sebastian's job actually after if you want to. You edit it.
Not
It's
doing
all
that,
you.
but cool.
It'll be the
And
Jack
with that,
show.
what can we say except slay? Thanks for tuning into FY Pod. New episode Monday night.